a bird that Clinton's supposed to. They're returning almost everyone back, and they're supposed to be pretty tough next year. So
You think they'll be tough enough to compete with Dundee?
I don't know. Dundee's just such a big school, and I don't
So
know.
is Dundee
Hard to say.
the big wrestling school?
They're
now?
they're
Or
like the
have been for
Hudson of
some.
Monroe County.
Okay, all right.
Because Hudson's been a powerhouse in wrestling.
So, yeah, and Hudson.
But the interesting thing is we won 7 or something state titles, but during those state title runs, we haven't won a league
Right.
because we always run into Dundee. But Dundee's doing the same thing over in, I think they're in D3.
D3.
They're doing the same thing.
I'm trying to remember. I think it was. I think you guys are right. I think it was Dundee who was also. If Addison couldn't get past somebody, it was usually Dundee.
Yeah.
And I know back in the day when my brother was wrestling, he had a rival from Dundee, and these two went their entire career having to wrestle each other. And the only thing, and my brother doesn't like to talk about it because he couldn't beat him, but the guy could never pin him either. So that was one accomplishment he had from that, because this guy would pin everybody in like quickly, and he could never pin my brother. He would always beat him, but he could never pin him.
Yeah, back in my day, Sand Creek was a lot better wrestling program. My best friend and a kid from Hudson kind of forced me out of wrestling. I was the same weight class as them, and I'm talking about Devin Mary from Hudson,
Who's my cousin.
who went to the state finals all 4 years. 3 state championships. He lost his junior year to one of my best friends, Mr. Sam Meehan from Sand Creek, who Devin went to Eastern.
Yep, he had a great career at Eastern.
And then my buddy Sam went to Oklahoma State. And he wrestled for about 2-3 years and then dropped off. But I was the same weight class as those guys. I wrestled from like 4th grade to 7th grade, and I was like, yeah, this might be it. I don't know if I can compete with those two, but it's interesting you were talking about rivalries, because I remember watching Sam and Devin wrestle every year, and it was a rivalry between those two, and it was awesome to watch.
Now, Hudson and Addison used to have the rivalry in wrestling, and Addison used to come out on top of that for quite a few years, and then I was like, just one day out of the blue, I'm like, oh my gosh, Hudson has been dominating this particular battle for several years now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, maybe if you can correct me, like 2006, 2007, those years where Addison was really tough in wrestling, I think.
Well, the part of it was too is there was a lot of transition in coaches, because the main coach that was the greatest wrestling coach at Addison finally retired.
Okay.
And so, and I've noticed over the years the predecessors to Addison, and again, this gets me into trouble when I start talking about people at Addison, but I'm just telling the truth, guys. It's usually former wrestlers who come in to take on the team, and obviously they learned from that amazing coach, but they don't necessarily have the knack and skills that amazing coach had. So
things aren't really changing because they're doing the same things that they did when they were there. So
true, very true.
I've always told people, because I play slow pitch softball, and I have buddies that have wrestled, stuff like that, and I always tell them that Lenawee County is the county for wrestling, because if you think about it, we have St. Creek's not really a powerhouse anymore, but Hudson, Addison, they produce some individuals.
It is one of the sports where we better represent
Clinton,
as far as our county teams go.
Tecumseh.
Tecumseh's usually pretty tough.
Adrian has some individuals that come out. Madison. Yeah. And then surrounding areas, you have Manchester. They're always strong Division 4 team. And then you have Dundee right next door. So.
Yeah, the wrestling programs, and I don't know why that is, why it dominates more than other sports.
I don't know.
I mean, you do hear a lot of our Lenawee County kids representing.
This is really cool.
Wrestling is definitely, though, a sport you can do all year round, though. If you have I know Hudson, you guys have your own little wrestling room, like wrestling building, because we drive past it every time we go to practice.
Yeah.
And I know Scott.
And I know Addison has an area dedicated to that strictly too.
Yeah.
It's like it used to be. I don't know about the remodel.
So those schools, like the big schools that have more success, they have. I think Clinton has one now too, but
yeah, I think you're right.
But like those guys, if you're strict, they wrestle all year round.
The truth is, wrestling is a sport that works pretty much every muscle in your body. So it's kind of preparing you for every kind of sporting, especially the endurance part.
Right.
I mean, that endurance part alone it'll kill you.
Yeah, wrestling
Tough
conditioning
sport.
was my least favorite conditioning I've ever done.
Yeah, I hear you.
Then on top of having to cut weight, I know when I was in school, we had kids spitting their spit in a bottle. They wouldn't eat all day.
Wow.
The trash bag outfits.
Only
We had the old school where they
yeah, those are illegal now. But
illegal. The illegal before they made it illegal, we did all that stuff. We did
Yeah.
like 5 pairs of sweats on, and running up and down stairs and
it's intense. But
Yeah, I mean they don't even let you. I mean they really did relook at wrestling because I mean they don't let you do any of that stuff legally.
It was really unhealthy when you have to cut weight that fast, like where you have to starve yourself.
Because you can't even do that anymore. Like when you're committed to a weight,
You can
you
only
can
go
only
one weight down or one weight above.
yeah.
now.
Because
It's-
back when my brother was wrestling, if you could sweat off enough weight, you could go to any
Whatever
other
you
weight
wanted,
category
yeah.
you wanted to for that match that week.
And I know at the beginning of the season now, the athletic trainers, they look at your
Yeah.
body fat and
Yep.
everything. They look at everything.
All that
now.
computer stuff now
Yeah.
that you can do and everything makes a big difference in the sports.
Yeah.
So yes, so who is Hudson? Would you consider Hudson's greatest rivalry in any sports right now? You should know this.
It's a
being
little
true
different.
teacher there
It's been, well, we've always had that battle of 127. That's always
Right.
been, I mean, the rivalry aspect, I mean, as far as wins and losses hasn't been there, but it's
Right,
always,
right.
the fans are always into it. You always have,
Rub it in.
I know when I was in high school, we always would come out and our stuff would be either
That
spray
was
painted
huge.
or
That was
our
huge.
field stuff would be spray painted.
It was really big. I guess so.
There's generally a hate.
Yeah.
So that's what made it a rivalry.
Especially
But-
from like the early 40s through the probably early 80s is how that was really, really bad. And that's why they called it off for a while because
Yeah.
the two schools hated each other so badly. And that's, I don't want to see the hate piece, of course, but I like the local rivalries because I don't feel like we have enough of that right now. I mean, all our Lenawee County teams appear to be in different leagues, and I don't necessarily like that. I wanted to get kind of back to the old school ways where we have like pride in our schools and we play our local districts and
King of the Lenawee County.
yeah,
type of thing.
and I think that needs to happen. And they were starting to reevaluate that for a while, and then it just disappeared. Like some of the leagues they were talking about forming a new league that was strictly for Lenawee County again, and I don't know. I think maybe they should re-examine that with the whole COVID thing going on because I mean, with teams not wanting to travel as far, being able to go as far. Most of our teams are with half hour within each other.
And I always said that a good league would be Hudson, Sand Creek, Morenci, Addison, get Pittsburgh in there. I know they're not in Leonard County. Who else was I saying? Hudson, Addison.
You
Pittsburgh,
could
Sand Creek,
you could-
Morenci.
Columbia Central's
Columbia
close
Central's
enough
not
that you
bad.
could throw them in there.
Well, there was a while
Madison.
there was rumors going around that Sand Creek, Hudson, and Morenci were all gonna combine schools. Like when I was like back in the day,
Yeah.
they were talking about merging all 3 schools together.
But we're so close together. I do not know why we're not in the same league. But instead we
Especially
go all the way
Hudson.
to Erie Mason and
Yeah,
Dundee
that's the
and-
thing. So
Hudson's the only Division 7 football school in the LCW.
originally, I'm trying to remember the story behind Addison. They had originally changed it for the wrestling league, I believe, and they wanted more competition for the wrestling teams because there was nothing. It was just Addison dominated every year at that point, and so that's why originally that's what I had heard why Addison jumped leagues.
But you look at their league now, it's
Right.
they're the only
Addison-
team
Them
that's
in Manchester.
Addison-
Manchester is in that league, isn't it?
I mean, the truth is, Addison's not great don't dominate in any sport anymore. And so I think getting back to a more social level where we could play our local districts would be more rewarding than, I mean, and again, I'm going to get a lot of slack for this from Addison, getting your butt kicked every single time. And there's no fun in that, I don't think.
They had a pretty good football year until they ran into the old Aggies.
They have kind of come back a little bit on the football team. The football team has been making some strides that they haven't had in a few years, and I got a lot of slack for that because I was very harsh on football teams because they were. I mean, they went from being really good to not being very good at all, And so, you know, I was very vocal about that because when I was in school, the football team was terrible. I mean, we did, this is how, this will give away my age quite a bit, VHS yearbook videos. And, you know, you go and watch that video and there's not very many highlights of us winning anything. It's all like, oh, there's an interception. Oh, hey, there's a bad tech. Oh, there's a loss of yardage. Things like that, you know. So I really would like to see the league realigned for more of a Lenawee County league, and that would be awesome.
It'd be really cool.
And if they needed, you know, broadcasters, we could do it.
Oh yeah.
The team I always wanted to play the most when I was in high school was Hudson.
Yeah, we never played.
Really?
We never
Yeah,
played.
we were supposed
football.
to meet up. We were supposed to meet up my senior year in playoffs, but we kind of got hosed
These
out of our
last
district.
couple of years they played in the playoffs. Or
Yeah, they played
a couple
1
years
year.
ago.
Yeah, they played 1 year.
Yeah, we never played St.
Because
Creek
we were
in
the
football.
top 2 teams in the county my senior year, mine and Logan's team. Offense, defense, everything was Sand Creek and Hudson. And
And what sports were you active in school? Then? Did you do them all?
I did. Are you talking about all 4 years?
Yeah, all your years.
Okay, all 4
Oh,
years
or,
I
mean
did
high school.
Football and baseball were the 2 consistent.
Okay.
I played basketball for 2 years, track for 2 years. I bowled for 1 year.
Nice.
So, but mainly football and baseball.
And then you did
Just
what did
3 football, baseball, and
you-
basketball
Okay.
throughout. Yeah.
Nice.
I always said that if there's room, I would always want to be on the golf team, but
You're right.
I couldn't give up baseball for it. So
That'd be fun though.
I would love.
Golfing
I would have loved
free.
to golf in high school.
It might be a little better. My golf game is a little slacking, but
So yeah, high school golf is all the. How many of our schools actually have high school golf? Are they all at that
I think
level?
they all do.
Does St.
Yeah,
Creek
I
have
know.
it?
Sand Creek does.
Yeah.
Sand Creek, Madison,
I know
I
Addison
think
has one.
Morenci does.
Morenci does.
Hudson.
Yeah.
I don't know if Brent Deerfield does. But I know Adrian and Tecumseh do.
Yeah.
I think
I think
LCS does
everyone
too.
does. Yeah.
And
What-
Clinton.
And what time of the year do they do that? Is that
They do it. The
most
boys
spring?
are in the spring and the women are in the fall.
It was the other way around. The boys were in the fall, but then they switched it to the springtime.
So what does competition for that look like? As like versing another school?
They just do like the jamborees and stuff like that. It's kind of like a golf scramble, but for teams.
Mhm.
So you play your own ball, obviously.
You know,
but-
because obviously you don't have like your rowdy football crowd showing up and cheering on the people for.
No,
No.
you can walk with them if you
Yes.
want. Walk behind them and yeah, it's pretty cool.
Alright, that's awesome. And I know I've surprised this is not taken off in more Lenawee County schools, lacrosse.
Yeah.
The Tecumseh has lacrosse, and they don't have anybody in Lenawee County to play it, actually, because none of the other schools have picked it up.
I think
I
it's
think
more of
it's-
a money thing.
And numbers,
Yeah.
just because lacrosse is played during
Baseball
the
season.
fall or spring.
That's true.
or spring.
Like, it's
So if you
yeah,
bring on lacrosse, then you won't.
yeah.
Some of those kids from baseball go to
That
lacrosse.
is
and
true.
go
I
to the
never
baseball
thought about
team.
that because I know Tecumseh was running into that problem a little bit where it'd be like there's lacrosse practice and they'd be like, "Where's our players?" And they're like, "Oh, they're at baseball right now." You know, it's like, no, we're not gonna do that.
I dual
I'm
sported
surprised
for 2
Adrian-
years.
I'm surprised Adrian doesn't have one. For
I'm
how
su-
big of a
yeah.
school they are.
Right.
I'm not surprised because Adrian's numbers have been dropping down.
Oh, they have.
That is true. Adrian is Adrian
Because
has gone through a lot.
One of my best friend's little brothers went to Adrian and they played football, and I went to watch them the last 2 years, and they barely had the same amount of kids. That they didn't have a JV football program
They
last
did
year.
not have a JV, and they didn't have a. I think before the year was over with, I don't even think they had the freshman
No, they had
football
a so
program this year.
they're a D3, D4 school with about the same amount of kids as we might have at Sand Creek or Hudson.
So sadly, Adrian's situation is it's becoming a lot of kids that don't want to play sports, and so they're not, and they're walking away from it. If it, obviously, you have those situations, as you guys probably know from being coaches yourselves. It's tough to sometimes coach some kids that don't want to be coached.
Yeah.
And so a lot of what's going on at Adrian that I heard, because I had an inside source, I won't reveal it, but they said that a lot of these kids don't want to be coached. It's like you start trying to coach them and they're just like, fine, I'm just not going to play then. And so Adrian's team went down big time just from that alone.
They're
last year.
actually on their schedule this fall. The Adrian's football team is actually supposed to play Madison.
Oh wow.
Adrian versus Madison. And there were talks about they wanted to get out of the SEC.
But then they dropped that. I saw that last time I
Well-
heard they had dropped that they decided, oh, we're not going to drop out now. And it's
If
like,
you want
what?
to be, in my opinion on that is they're only thinking of that from a football standpoint. Because if you look at football,
Yeah,
they can't compete in the SEC.
right.
But their basketball program, their boys at least, they did pretty solid in the SEC this year. I mean, they competed with Ipsy Lincoln for a bit,
They did for a little while.
and they had the best player in the nation.
They went up and down. You know, it's kind of like when they wanted to show up to play, they would play. But when they didn't want to show up and play, then they wouldn't play.
So that's where the power of football on schools comes in. 'Cause I know
I do believe football does control the destiny of our local school sports for sure, because that's their.
Hudson might be the only school in this town. I guess maybe, yeah, where maybe would you say wrestling's a bigger effect on your school than
Yeah,
wrestling
I
or
mean,
than football?
with the
Maybe
recent
now.
success we had,
Yeah,
I
maybe
mean,
now.
you can't really say that because we have the long history with the 7-2 win streak,
Right.
and I mean we've always been successful. We have a state title. We're only Lenawee County state title in football
It's,
too. So
it's amazing to me what Hudson does with. I mean, they don't even upgrade their football fields.
I know. We are getting a new press box.
What?
Yeah. we
No,
are getting a new
no
press
way.
box.
But you still have the same old antique sign out in the field for the score?
The
changed that
scoreboard?
yet? Yeah,
They
scoreboard.
got a new scoreboard.
What?
2
They
years-
did?
2
No
years
way.
ago, yeah.
Oh, they finally
Yeah,
upgraded the
so
score.
they're up. They're getting there.
Oh,
they're
alright.
upgrading.
I was like, I guess it has been a while since I've been there for a game. The last time I went there for a game, I just looked around and I'm like, this looks exactly the way it did when I was here in high
Yeah.
school.
They're upgrading. They had to get a new press box because
It's
regulations.
condemned.
So yeah, I was always pretty lucky. Sand Creek has a pretty nice football field. I argue that besides Tecumseh, because they have that brand new turf field, that big
You
size field
know,
over
the
there.
Tecumseh,
But if you look at Sand Creek, I think arguably probably the best field. in
Tecumseh's
Lenawee County.
football field to me is, first of all, the whole thing with Tecumseh was kind of a joke to me because it was like, okay, so my son went to school there during the time when they suddenly condemned their football field. After years and years and years of this football field being used, suddenly it's not safe for fans anymore because they wanted to move everything to that new facility. And then they had, so they had to make it look like a college complex because that's what it looks like now. It looks like a college football field. And yeah, I think for Tecumseh is not that great at anything sports-wise. Sorry, Tecumseh fans. I get myself. I'll be the one who gets myself into trouble for this. You guys don't have to take responsibility for that. But yeah, I mean, they built this giant facility, and it's not. You know, like they had to have that new football field, and then they got their bleachers from MIS. MIS donated the bleachers to them.
That's where ours came from too, at Sand Creek.
But I will agree with you. I enjoy watching football at Sand Creek, and it's just something I like being close to the field.
Yes.
I like being able to see the action real good, and I'm trying to remember. Hudson, do you have the track? They have the track
Nope.
around.
Nope.
So yours is
Yours is right down.
There's
I
just a lot
prefer
more sideline space at Hudson.
Yeah,
than
I
Sand
like the closeness of the Sand Creek field. I like to be right there on top of the action. And so I really do enjoy games there.
My my aunt and my dad help out with the football team, so I just go stand on the sidelines with them. So I don't really sit in the stands much.
And they cut out the entire woods that was behind there. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's where.
And then you have the train that comes through.
I always thought that was cool because if you're not familiar with playing in Sand Creek, that train was like an element of surprise. It was an element of surprise in favor of Sand Creek.
Yes.
It's like you might have a team that didn't know there's a train back there, and as soon as they get ready to do a play, here comes this big old train coming right through. It's like, whoa, talking about an element of surprise.
Yeah.
It's baseball, you have to stop and wait for it to pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and Hudson still has a pretty cool looking field. I just don't like in Tecumseh, it feels like you're at a college game because it's like, man, I'm like, hello, who's down there playing right now? Get out my binoculars and see the person on the field because you can't even see them because way up there, you feel because they have the track there too, and I don't like the fields with tracks around them because it feels like I'm too far away from the action. I like being right there on the action.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's see if what else we got going on the frenzy page here. Wrap things up. Oh, that's the other thing they were talking about. Some of the coaches in the NBA are talking about not even being able to show up for this. They were thinking the older coaches might decide
Not to come.
because they're
That
not
might be
sure about
smart.
the COVID situation. So they said some of the actually summer league coaches might be there coaching some of the
Coaching
teams.
That would be beneficial for them too, because they get to experience more, you know.
Well, and they said that like the head coach would maybe, if they're an older head coach, they might be monitoring it from like
Right.
their house,
Yeah.
watching it, and
How much does a NBA head coach really do during the game? I always said that. I would hate to be the coach of LeBron James.
Wow.
Like, he knows just as much
That's-
as you, or
That's
not
like
more.
when Steven Spoelstra was the coach there, and in Miami when he had Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, Ray Allen, LeBron
Right.
James, and they're giving him all this credit. I'm like, what does he do?
You're there to call timeout.
What does he do?
well, and obviously, you know, from Coach Beeline, I mean, when you do try to do something, you just
Exactly.
your players give you
Right.
crap for it. So
If you watch, I mean, did you guys watch The Last Dance on ESPN?
Mhm.
Phil Jackson. I was partial to the Lakers because I am a big Kobe Bryant fan, still am, always been. But watching that and learning about his influence on that team in the triangle offense, I really think there hasn't really been a coach like him since
you're right.
Phil Jackson.
Right. Phil Jackson was, yeah.
Or 04 Pistons. Who was the coach?
Oh shoot.
Larry Brown?
Larry Brown. Yes, I believe Larry Brown.
Maybe like Greg Popovich for the Spurs. That's I really
you
don't
do
see,
have a couple of those older coaches that have. the
I don't really
influence.
see many coaches like actually
That's
coach
because
their
the
teams
players
like
will
that.
not will not listen to them. They don't want to listen to them. They want to do their own thing. It's
Yeah.
like, we get paid all this money. You're just a coach in the name only. Yeah,
I can do that.
yeah, exactly. I would, like I said before, I would coach in the league for 1 year. 1
Right.
year. Well, you know what, guys? That went better than I thought it was going to go this week. We actually covered a lot of territory, more so than I
Yeah.
was expecting. So,
Well, really well.
very good show for this week. So thank you everybody for joining us, and we will see you again on next week's show.
Yeah.
Take care, everybody. Until next week.
Bye guys.